Hi bakers, it's me, Robin, your host. We're here for another episode of Take Two Bakes. I'm incredibly excited today because I'm going to share with you guys a recipe that I made up just last night. Okay, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but we're going to call it last night anyway. You ready? Let's get started. First, let's go through our wet ingredients. We have 400 grams of sugar. We have 240 milliliters of canola oil. 4 eggs separated out, these are just the yolks, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of distilled vinegar, we have 240 milliliters of buttermilk, and then we have 115 grams of butter. The egg whites from those yolks, I'm going to show you what we're going to do in just a little bit. Now let's go through our dry ingredients. We have 345 grams of cake flour. We have 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt. We have 5 grams of espresso powder, and then we have 30 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. I'm going to be working today with 2 9-inch round pans. Go ahead and spray it really good. I've already pre-cut out my parchment paper. I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down there. And then let's move this off to the side. Let's go ahead and start by mixing together our dry ingredients. Here we have our cake flour, our unsweetened cocoa powder, our baking soda, our salt, and our espresso powder. Go ahead and give that a really good whisk. Make sure everything is completely incorporated. So now let's get started on all of our wet ingredients. Go ahead and put the butter on into the sugar. Put that on a medium beat until it's all mixed together. Once we have the sugar and the butter all mixed together, let's go ahead and start adding our eggs. I like to add them one at a time. Because I'm just dealing with egg yolks, it does make it a little bit more difficult, but just go slow. We're going to go ahead and add our vanilla and our distilled vinegar. Slowly add in the canola oil. Let all that work together. I'm going to go ahead and scrape down that bowl a little bit. Make sure all of my wet ingredients are put together here. I don't have anything left on the bottom. Especially in that really hard to reach spot there right at the tip of the mixer. Go ahead and put it back on a low speed. At this point, you're going to incorporate your dry mixture, which is the cake flour, the cocoa powder, and the baking soda, salt, that sort of thing. You're going to alternate it with the buttermilk. So I do about 3 spoonfuls of the dry mixture, and then I like to add the buttermilk a little bit at a time. The great thing about this is if you have someone helping you in the kitchen, like I love to bake with my granddaughter and my grandson. If you have someone that can help you, this is a great job for them. And I'm really lucky because there's 2 items, and I don't know if y'all have any kids or grandkids, but they like to fight over who can have what to do. So this is 2 items, one for each one of them. Go ahead and let that keep going, and while that's going, those little egg yolks that we had set out to the side, I'm going to go ahead and just whisk them up until they're a pretty stiff peak. I'll show you in a second exactly how much. Once you get it to a hard peak stage, go ahead and stop whipping that up. I'm going to do a final scrape down here to get it off of the mixer. So we're going to take the egg whites that we fluffed up to a firm peak. Go ahead and just pour them into that batter. Now what we want to do is just fold them. So a quick way to fold. You just cut through and move it around. Cut through and move it around. Cut through, move it around, cut through, Move it around. You're gonna be doing this several times, but you wanna keep that air inside those egg whites. That's what's gonna give you that light, beautiful texture of this cake. This cake is incredibly moist, but it's also very airy, and that's, in my opinion, that's like the perfect cake. So now you can see there's no more egg whites. I've incorporated all of them, continuing just to fold them in. Now I'm going to grab my pans. So I'm just kind of shushing it around, if you will. I'm sure there's a technical term for that, but I'm just using the word shushing because I don't want to pick it up and pop it down to even it out, because then I'm going to lose all my air bubbles. So I just want to zhuzh it around a little bit, and now I'm going to pop in the oven for about 30 minutes on 350. So remember I told you this is going to have a ganache frosting on top. So I don't know if anyone knows what a ganache is. I'm sure you do, but I'm just going to humor you and go ahead and let you know a little bit. In this bowl I have 4 ounces of dark chocolate. I get it in a bar. You can get chips if you want to. And in this pan I've warmed up about a cup of heavy whipping cream. I'm just going to pour that over it until it covers it up. I'm going to let the whipping cream actually just melt the chocolate. That's how I'm going to get the ganache. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to let it sit there for a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get out my cake. I let my cake cool down for about 10 minutes in the pan. Now let me go ahead and pull it out. Remember, we put that parchment paper on the bottom. So hopefully, knock on wood, it comes right out of the pan. And there it is, gorgeous. I'm just going to let it cool for the rest of the way. It's a little bit warm right now. So I'm going to let it cool down in the pan, on the rack, for probably 30 minutes or so. Here's the one that I've already done. I just went ahead and did a light layer of buttercream frosting on top just to let the ganache sit there. Quick little tip and hack. We love hacks. I put the wire rack on top of a bowl, so that way it's going to pick up the extra ganache that's left over. With the fork, I'm just going to stir the whipping cream, make sure it gets all that chocolate completely dissolved. It might get a wee bit stubborn on you, but don't worry about it. It'll all dissolve. It'll be a nice, solid chocolate river. It's almost like a little visit to Willy Wonka. All right, so now we have all the chocolate is dissolved within the whipping cream. So I'm just gonna pour it over. I like to kind of try to get it around the corners as much as possible first. You do it however you want to. I don't think there's a rule to this. I feel like it's just a river of chocolate that never ends. And that, my friends, to me, is what heaven looks like. So I let the cake cool down a little bit in the refrigerator just to set the ganache. I went ahead and cut myself a piece. I love the fact, I don't know if you can see this or not, that buttercream layer is right there. And then you have the silky ganache on top. Let's taste. It's a showstopper, for sure. That, paired with a good glass of milk, that's a midnight snack. Thanks you guys for joining us. Can't wait to see you again for the next Take 2 Bakes. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget, subscribe and like. See you next time.